Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Rebel News has just been slammed with a $2,000 bill from the Alberta government for documents relating to the government's treatment of GraceLife Church. What on earth are these bullies trying to hide from me? The government of Alberta has put up an information paywall to try to stop me from investigating what happened to GraceLife Church at the hands of the government. Now, I'll get over that paywall, as I always do, with your help. GraceLife Church became internationally famous after they defied the lockdown restrictions on places of worship. GraceLife refused to force congregants to wear masks or social distance from each other, and the pastor there, James Coates, refused to turn away congregants to meet the ever-changing hard cap on attendance, which was often set at just 15% of fire code capacity. The church was instead bursting at the seams each week as people came from all over to support this brave congregation and be part of a church that was actually doing what is biblically commanded, to obey God's law above man's law. Now, the church for that was constantly surveilled by the Alberta government, harassed by Alberta Health Services inspectors, and interrupted by the police. The pastor, James Coates, and the church as an entity were ticketed, and then Pastor James Coates was arrested twice, and he turned himself in to authorities to spend 35 days in Edmonton's maximum security remand center for the crime of refusing to close his church to worshipers. But church went on when another pastor, Jake Spence, stepped up each week to the pulpit. So the government stepped up enforcement. The church property was seized and basically turned into a police fort in an effort to make GraceLife congregants stop meeting and just obey the government. But that didn't work either. The congregation started meeting in secret. And the government, well, it got a black eye in the court of public opinion for their treatment of GraceLife. Now, I spent about 2 months or so at GraceLife as the only reporter they allowed on the property, and I'm so grateful for that. Some of the best people I've ever met in the course of this job are from GraceLife Church. They are certainly far more tolerant, kind, and forgiving than the so-called tolerant left, who treated them like dangerous super spreader cult members for simply just not turning away people who needed church in their lives at a time of trouble and uncertainty. Now, naturally, being curious, we wanted to know more about the planning of the persecution, or rather prosecution, depending on who you ask, of GraceLife and their pastor, James Coates, and what the Justice Ministry staff were saying about GraceLife when the staff thought nobody was watching. Well, you know what? I'm always watching the government. That's my job around here. So 2 months ago, May 21st, we asked one ministry, Justice and Solicitor General, for all their records. Here's what we asked for on May 21st, 2021. We asked for copies of all documents, including emails, texts, or instant messages, Slack messages, WhatsApp messages, briefing notes, correspondence, reports, etc. regarding GraceLife Church and or James Coates since January 1st, 2021. So we wanted all their records from January 1st to May 21st. And we just got a response back from the government last Friday, so July 16th. There are 1,500 pages available for release, and it will take the government 58 and a quarter labor hours to find and prepare those government documents for release. And they want a grand total of $1,947.75, with approximately $1,000 of that payable immediately as a deposit to start work. Now, we're going to pay this under protest, and we will appeal the charges. But we also need your help, because we don't get big money from Justin Trudeau to ask politicians easy questions absolutely nobody cares about. We're crowdfunded by you, our viewers, to hold politicians to account. All politicians, even conservative ones. And that's what we are going to do here. We need to find out what the government was saying about the very nice, kind people at GraceLife Church before and after the province arrested their pastor twice and put him in jail for 35 days and then seized their property for 90 days. I would love to see the emails and correspondence the public was also sending to the government about what the government was doing to GraceLife. And I want to see the bureaucratic response to those letters, emails, and phone calls that they were surely inundated with. If you can help us offset the cost to find out what these government lawyers were saying before, during, and after the incarceration of first James Coates and then his church building, please donate today at rebelinvestigates.com. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. The government of Alberta is currently holding 1,500 pages of records about their treatment of GraceLife Church and Pastor James Coates behind a nearly $2,000 paywall. I need to climb over that paywall to get that information, but I need your help to do it. To help offset our costs to get access to these documents, please donate at rebelinvestigates.com.